Good morning. Good morning. It is me, the Alpha Empath, and I am here to give you my morning inspiration. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about King David, the archetype of the divine masculine. The divine masculine. Okay, so let me turn these comments on. And if you are watching me, make sure you say good morning. Let me know your name because on StreamYard, I may not know, it may not show me your name. Also, if you are watching this not live, but watching it on replay, go ahead and hit hashtag replay. And if you like what I am saying, if you like what I'm saying, go ahead and share this, okay? Remember, go ahead and share this. Okay, so let's talk about King David. Now, listen, my father was a Christian minister for about 40 something plus years. And I went to Bible college. I am a fifth generation PK, if I'm not mistaken. It could have gone back a little bit further than that. I don't really know. But I can tell you this story and how I see spiritual revelation knowledge. It is going to help you. So yesterday in my group, the evolution of the empath, I had a little issue because somebody was in there trying to say some shit about the divine masculine, and I knew that that was not the energy of the divine masculine. I knew that, right? So let me help you guys to clarify what the divine masculine looks like. So let's talk about King David. Now, remember, if you have read anything from the scripture, at the time, Israel had an anointed king. His name was King Saul. That was his name. Okay, so King Saul, that was him, right? So at the time, King Saul was doing well, but it says that the Spirit of God was disappointed in him, wasn't really vibing with him no more. So he said, I'm going to anoint me another king. So he told his prophet, Samuel, to go to Jesse's house and look at Jesse's sons, because out of Jesse's eight sons, one of those would be the newly appointed king of Israel. So Samuel goes to Jesse's house, right? And Jesse is like, okay, what the fuck you here for, Samuel? Do you come in peace? Or do you come to make war? Back in those days, prophets and shit fought and shit. So they ain't know what the fuck Samuel was coming for. Like, you come in peace? Or you coming to start some shit? We don't know. And Samuel's like, I came here to sacrifice, and I came here to do some stuff on God's business. So he's like, okay, Jesse, I am going to anoint. God has told me to anoint a new man as king, and it's from one of your sons. Jesse's like, oh shit, we didn't hit the lottery. It is now our time. We finna be royalty. So he brings out his sons. He brings out his eldest son. I think his eldest son's name was Eliab. I think that was his eldest son. And the scripture says that this young man was tall and he was very kingly looking, probably like how King Saul looked. Good morning, Valencia. Good morning, honey. Remember to share this. Now, your Christian folks probably gonna get mad at me because they're gonna be like, oh God, this bitch is blasphemous. Whatever. I need you guys to understand a different perspective, okay? So he brings out Eliab, and Samuel's like, oh yeah, this gotta be the newly divinely masculine king. Because remember, God was looking for a man not by sight, but looking for a man that had God's own heart. And you got to understand the nature of the heart of the universe, the heart of the divine. It is divinely feminine and divinely masculine. The two are married in one. This is the divine masculine heart. A man that has married his feminine nature with his masculine nature. That is the heart of the universe. And that is the heart of God. So let's keep going. So Samuel's like, this got to be the one. It got to be Eliab. And God's like, nah, that ain't him. That ain't him. Man always looking at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. I have refused him. It ain't him, Samuel. So he brings out, Jesse brings out another one of his sons. I think his name was Shamna or something like that. And God was like, nah, that ain't him either. Jesse brings out another one. God's like, that ain't him. And another, and another, and another, and another. And it ain't none of them. Samuel's like, well, what the fuck? Jesse, do you have any more sons? And Jesse said, yeah, I got one more. But, it's just a little shepherd boy. He out in the field playing his harp and shit with the sheep and shit. That's what. See, here's the thing, though. Let me tell you something about the divine masculine. He ain't never looked at amongst men as the man that they want to lead them. He's always rejected, honey. including Yahshua the Messiah, always rejected by men that say, we the man. He ain't that type of man, and that's why he will never fit in. The divine masculine don't fit in, honey. He does not, okay? Because remember, Jesse knew that there was going to be a newly appointed king. Why the fuck did he bring out all his sons? Why the fuck did he forget David? That's not here nor there. So he brings in David. David comes in, and the scripture says that David was ruddy. And just in case y'all don't know what this word ruddy means, when I think of a ruddy man, I think of a carbonated man with red undertones. Let me see if I can find you a picture of that. When I think of David being ruddy, this is what I think of. Y'all see this man here? This man's name is Jadena, if I'm not mistaken. He is some type of, I don't know, rapper or something like that. But when I think of ruddy, this is what I think of. I think of Jadena, okay? So they go in, they bring in David. The scripture says that he had a goodly appearance. Well, when I look at Jadena, Jadena has a goodly appearance. Yeah, he does, right? He's a little bit on the high yellow side, but he has a goodly appearance, right? So God says, this is the one. This is the one right here. Now, let me help you to understand the heart of David. It says that he wasn't tall in height. He wasn't tall in height. He wasn't like the rest of his brothers. And but that's the one that God said is going to be king. Now, here's where the story gets interesting. Let me tell you how God starts synchronizing events to get you to your destination, okay? So Saul, King Saul, when the newly appointed King David is anointed king, the scripture says that the Spirit of God immediately and instantaneously left Saul and came upon David. And Saul got into a state of depression. Listen, the divinely masculine man has overcome his emotional trauma. You cannot lead people and you be emotionally disturbed like that. You got to do your fucking work, okay? So it leaves Saul and goes over to David immediately. And then when Saul's council, the king's council, started recognizing that Saul was in a state of depression, they're like, oh my God, we need to bring you something to calm you. Maybe we can bring a musician in because music calms the soul. And the word around the street is that David, not a military man, still divinely masculine, he's an artistic man. They say David's a great harp player. Not only is he a great harp player, but he is a good guy to be around. So they bring in David, and he's playing the harp. And every time he plays the harp, Saul's emotions come down. Now, let me tell you why this is important. David was a shepherd. And if you understand sheep, or if you study anything about sheep, sheep represent feminine nature because they are extremely emotional. And the health of the sheep is directly correlated to the emotions of the sheep. So the shepherd has to be really in tune with the emotions of the feminine energy that he is cultivating. See, sheep are kind of like women. You hurt my feelings. They just kind of clunk out, kind of like that, right? I'm upset. They kind of, yes. And then the divine masculine is like, okay, what the fuck wrong with this bitch now? Let me go see what the fuck is wrong with her. What the fuck is wrong with her emotions right now? Now, this flock of sheep is it represents just one body. Don't think about individual sheep. Think about the sheep as a whole of divine feminine energy. And David says this. He says, if one sheep goes and gets itself into a lion's mouth, I leave the 99 to go and get the one. This is how the divine masculine acts about the heart of his divinely feminine goddess. He says, yes, 99 of her emotions are okay, but that one little thing, I'm going to fucking go. I'm going to see what the fuck wrong with her. Because I don't need this fucking up our relationship. I'm going to go ahead and see what I can do to help her figure out what she needs to do to get right back on track. See, a divinely masculine man studies. He studies his queen. He studies her emotions so he can understand her heart. So he can understand when something is off about her. He is intuitively in tune with her. And for a man to be intuitively in tune with feminine energy, he has to slow down. He has to feel. David knew how to do this. This is why he was appointed to be King Saul's harpist. Because when King Saul was in his negative feminine energy and getting all depressed, David was able to play the harp and cause him to be who he needed to be. Okay? Now listen, let me tell you about the kind of women that the divine masculine or King David chose. Let me tell you about that. Let's talk about Bathsheba. I call her Bathsheba. But she is, Bat means daughter. She is a daughter of Sheba. This is what this means, okay? And it's more of a cultural thing, more of a religious thing than a name thing, okay? Think about it as I am a Christian or I am a daughter of Christos. It's kind of like that. Now, listen, the story goes like this. Here is King David with his ruddy looking ass, okay? Good looking guy, great looking heart, because that's what divine masculine energy cares about, the heart, not really the looks, okay? And all the men are out to war. All the men in Bethlehem or Jerusalem, I don't forgot where they were. Where were they? Jerusalem? I believe that they were in Jerusalem. They have all went out to war. And David decided to stay. Now, the divine masculine man has a human nature. He does. And he is capable of mistakes, just like his human nature. But here's the thing. When he makes a mistake, he does immediately. He goes to try to fix that. He does it quickly. He's not hesitant about fixing a fallacy that he recognizes in his heart. He does it quickly. He's action oriented. Okay, so all the men have went out to war because they were fighting a war. King David has stayed. Now, when he is out on his terrace looking about. He sees Bathsheba bathing on her roof. Now, I need you to get out of your religious ass mind. I need you to get out your religious ass mind. Now, really think about this, okay? Because the physical world always mimics the spiritual world, okay? So I have been for about 4 days without water because of this Texas winter storm. My pipes have burst, okay? Now, think about this. There was no indoor plumbing back then, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe there was, but I don't think so, okay? So you got a woman, Bathsheba, on her rooftop bathing. Do you know how hard it is to carry buckets of water to the roof to bathe? What you got up there, Bathsheba? What you got? You got a bathtub up there? So this is kind of letting you know what kind of caliber of woman Bathsheba was. This wasn't no po-ho. Sorry to say it, but she wasn't. This could not have been no po-ho. She couldn't have been, okay? I don't know many women that's po that can bathe on a rooftop. No, you got a rooftop terrace too, and the king does too. But the scripture says, if I'm not mistaken, her father was part of the king's council. His name started with an A, and it was like 11 letters or something. So I'm not going to even try to pronounce it. But her daddy was already part of the royal court. So David knew who the fuck she was. How your daddy gonna be sitting on the king's council and your grandfather gonna be sitting on the king's council and David not know who the fuck you are? This woman was probably royal descent. She probably was, but she definitely was a woman of standing. And all the men have gone off to war except King David. Don't think this heifer didn't know that King David. Don't think that she didn't know that he was there. See, you got to think about the type of woman that the divine masculine chooses. The divine feminine goddess, she is a go-getter. She takes what she wants. She does. So religious minds have taught you that femininity is all weak and it doesn't go after what it wants. This is not true. It's not true at all. For real, okay? So she's on the rooftop, and don't think she don't know that she is in sight of King David. Yeah, she fucking knows. How the fuck she don't know? Not everybody got a high-rise condo and can bathe on their roof. Yeah, not everybody has that, but you got it. And your high-rise condo is close enough to the king's palace, which lets me know that you are a close proximity to wealth. That's what that lets me know, okay? So she's bathing on the rooftop. Don't think this heifer didn't know that he was watching. She knew. She knew. Now I know what y'all thinking. She fucking deceitful, but I'm gonna show you how the divine feminine thinks. Okay, so David sees her and he says, "I need her to come to my castle." That's what he says. Here it is again. The divine masculine, he is action oriented. He goes after what he wants. Whatever is in his heart, that is what he goes after. Okay? He goes after. Okay? So he calls her in, he seduces her, she gets pregnant. Okay? Now remember, all the men are still off to war. So I don't know, maybe she comes back to him and says, "Hey, David, I'm pregnant." David's like, "Oh shit, I done fucked up." And in his humanness, he's like, "Okay, we're going to pawn this baby off on somebody else. I'm going to tell your husband, Uriah the Hittite, to come on back home. You fuck him. That's what you need to do. And then we're going to pawn this baby off on him." So Uriah the Hittite comes back. He comes back, right? And I'm sorry, I'm getting a text right now. Yes. So he comes back, and Uriah the Hittite doesn't go inside the house to sleep with his wife. But here's the thing, neither does Bathsheba come out to seduce her husband. Now, really think about this, you guys. The divine feminine is far from dumb. If this woman can get a king to lie with her, you think she can't get a fucking soldier to lie with her? Women are, let me tell you something, the difference between masculine nature and feminine nature. We all have seen dogs fucking. Everybody has seen dogs fucking. You see dogs fuck all the time. But do you ever see a cat fuck? Do you ever see them? Yeah, feminine nature hides her shit. Masculine nature is seen. That's why the penis is on the outside. Because whatever they do, we gonna see it. Because they represent which is seen. But the feminine nature represents this, which is seen. It is hidden. So you mean to tell me that this heifer couldn't seduce her husband to come back into that house? Now, if you're a woman and you listening to this call, you know goddamn well we can do that shit. You know we can. But she didn't. She didn't. So David has him killed. She has him killed. Okay. Now let me tell you something else about Bathsheba before you be thinking I'm making all this shit up. You thinking she all innocent and shit? She's not. The divine feminine goddess will use darkness and she will use light to create the reality that she wants. When her son Solomon, he wasn't supposed to get the throne. Did y'all know that? It was actually a guy by the name of Adonijah that was supposed to get the throne. And David was dying and on his deathbed. And Bathsheba went and conspired with Nathan, a powerful prophet within the kingdom, to overthrow Adonijah and put her son on the throne. You better really look at this. This is the woman that David chose. The divine masculine is not looking for this sweet, submissive, can't do nothing damsel in distress. He is looking for the woman that goes after and takes what she wants. Let me give you another example. When David was on the run from King Saul, he was needing rest from his journeys. Him and his men, his soldiers were needing rest. And they went to a man's land. I think the man's name was Nathan, if I'm not mistaken. I think his name was Nathan, right? And he had a wife by the name of Abigail. So David sends his messengers to Nathan. And he asks him, he says, "Hey, listen, can I sleep on your land? I'm tired. My men are tired." And Nathan says something stupid. He told David, "Hell fuck no. You and your soldiers can't sleep on my land. Fuck you." Abigail heard her stupid ass husband tell David that. See, the divine feminine always recognizes the divine masculine. She does. So what she did is she got her and her women together, all of her handmaids together, put on their nice clothes, what she did is she put on that shit to make him feel like, oh shit, I'm that bitch. That's what she did. She fed him. She showed him her beautiful countenance. And David said, "If you ever lose your husband, I'm gonna make you mine." That's what he told her. Because again, Abigail saw that her husband was foolish and he had put her household in danger, and she went out to correct it. This is not the energy of the damsel in distress. I don't make any moves unless my husband gives me permission to make moves. This is not the energy of the divine feminine. This was not the energy of Abigail, and this was not the energy of Bathsheba at all. They have minds. They can think. And the divine masculine is not intimidated by that. He likes his woman to think. He likes her to have his own mind. And when Nathan, Abigail's husband, died, David said, "Where's she at? Let me go and get her." Because this woman is wise. She is in control of her masculine energy, and yet she's all woman. This is the nature of the divine feminine. But I wanted to give you the story of David so I can show you the heart of the divine masculine. Here's another thing about King David. If I'm not mistaken, when he was over there playing the harp for King Saul, Goliath comes out and he's taunting the armies of God. All these men, he's taunting. Now remember, David is pretty much rejected by other men. He's not a man that has a lot of men running around him. Other men don't really roll with him like that. They just really don't. So when you see the divine masculine, don't be like turned away because he ain't really rolling with a lot of men. He's probably gonna be a little bit of a loner. Okay, he probably is. So David hears this. He hears this, and David says, "Who the fuck is this man taunting the armies of a living God? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine?" When he says uncircumcised Philistine, what he is talking about is that's another story. But what he is talking about, the divine masculine doesn't serve his own purposes. He serves the purposes of something greater. He always serves community. The divine masculine male is not just about having a fucking relationship. He is about bettering the fucking community. He is about bettering the planet. He is about bettering consciousness. He is trying to level up everybody around him. This is a quality of the divine masculine. So David is hearing this stuff, right? He's hearing it. And he says, he's talking shit. Okay, the divine masculine, yeah, he talks shit. So David's talking shit, and all the men around camp is like, "Shut the fuck up. You don't even know how to fight. You ain't trained the military strategies. You don't have none of this shit." But David had confidence. Here's another attribute of the divine masculine: confidence in themselves. And it's not based on how they look. It's not based on how much money they have. It's based on their heart. That's what it's based on. Okay? So David is like, "I can take this man. I can whoop his ass." So the messages come back to King Saul. And King Saul says, "Okay, I'm sick of him. I don't know no other man that can whoop his ass. So David, even though you're young, even though you're not recognized amongst men as being liked amongst men, I'm going to give you a shot, because if you die, you fucking die. Who the fuck cares?" So then he suits David up in this armor. He suits him up. He says, "Here's the sword. Here's the armor. Here's the shield." And David says, "I can't even fucking walk in this shit." See, the divine masculine, his nature, he's always being asked to put on the conformity of the world or put on the conformity of men around him. But he doesn't. He doesn't, because it stifles him. He can't move freely in it. David instead says, "No, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be my authentic self. That's what I'm going to be." And he goes to the brook and picks up 5 stones. And he has no sword. And he looks at the Philistine, Goliath. And he doesn't use a sword. He uses a stone. Now, nothing but a rock. But I find it ironic that Yahshua said, when he was talking to Kepha, better known as Peter, he said, "Upon this rock will I build my church." And what that rock represents is revelation knowledge. And you get no revelation knowledge unless you are in tune with your feminine energy and you can see. The divine masculine uses revelation knowledge, not really strength and power and command and control. He uses revelation knowledge to cause the heart of his woman to surrender. And he also uses revelation knowledge to cause consciousness and this 3D reality to submit and surrender to something new. I hope you guys understand what I have said. And if you like my story of King David, do not forget to share. If you want to be coached by me and hear more of my Sunday school stories, you can attend Sunday school every Sunday at 7 p.m. with me. It's Zoom based, so and it's $37 a month, but the first month is free. So I hope to see you soon, and hopefully you will share this. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.